a good day to be indigenous.
Get up, stand up.
They are going to become more brutal.
Because all the hippies were trying to be Indians anyway.
They're going to become more repressive because it's a matter of dollars and their illusionary concepts of power.
Hey, Victor.
We must live in balance with the earth.
And also with recent happenings at Wounded Knee.
I am awake. Welcome to Native Roots Radio Presents I'm Awake, and I'm your host, Wóokiye. Hey, Kadagi to all my friends and relatives in four directions. You are listening to Native Roots Radio Presents I'm Awake, and I'm your host, Robert Pilot. Hey, we discuss local, national, Native news and events, and as you know, Chujunk, Native issues are human issues, and human issues are Native issues.
Yes, you are right, Dega. This segment of Native Roots Radio is presented in partnership with Little Moments Count. Little Moments Count is a statewide collaborative focused on helping parents and caregivers learn about the importance of brain development in the first 3 years of life.
Wow, right on. Hey, joining us are two members from the Dakota Language Nest, and I want to say a big Pinigigi thank you for coming on, and please introduce yourself.
Yes, you're welcome. Thank you for having us. My name is Wóokiye. My English name is Katie Bendixson. I am Sistan Wapatin Dakota.
Šišókaduta Makiapido. It's my Dakota name. English name is Joe Bendixson. I'm also a board member, advisory board member of the Dakota Language Nest.
Wow, welcome. And I know you two from the community, and it's really exciting to have you both on. And not only are you pioneers in the language and real leaders in the language, but real leaders in the community. So I want to just say a big pinigi having you both on tonight. Let's get started. I want you to tell me a little bit about the Dakota Language Nest and what ages of children do you teach, and where is this located?
Yeah, so the Dakota Language Nest, also known as Dakota Iapi Wahokbi, it's located at the University of Minnesota Early Childhood Development School Lab, and it's 921 17th Avenue Southeast in Minneapolis, Minnesota.
That's awesome. And I think I said Lakota, and I meant to say Dakota, and I apologize. When did the nest open?
So it opened in September 2022. We got funding from the Minnesota Indian Affairs Council to open the nest, and this is our third year now, and we're really excited that we can help teach the children the Dakota language.
That's exciting. How does early exposure to Dakota language support a child's culture and identity with a growth?
Yeah. Do you want to answer?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, so the children would be learning a second language in addition to English typically. So learning a second language that early in their development really helps their growth and their language learning capacity, and also just helps them in general.
Yep.
Yeah, more than just learning one language when they're growing up. And
Haley,
and their identity shows, it teaches them who they are. And also within the language, there's a lot to learn just from how we speak Dakota and our worldview. Therefore, they're getting that when they're learning their language.
Awesome. Hey, Haley, do you think you could take the next couple questions here? I got to jump off for just a second.
Sure. Yeah. I got my hot seat here.
Wow. Thank you so much, you guys.
Well, thank you guys again for joining us. So I know a little bit about just Dakota language from a couple of my friends and community here. And it's really great, and we're grateful to partner with Little Moments Count to have great guests like you guys on. And teaching our youth is so important for our next generations.
Yes.
How does the Dakota Language Nest teach the Dakota language while also honoring your traditions of Dakota people?
Yeah, we are an immersion daycare. So the immersion nest is a place where there is no English spoken all day during the day for the children to be there, and so we use a lot of visuals and gestures, and the context really helps the children to understand what's going on. Plus, they're really young, and so they just naturally are really susceptible to understanding.
And to add to that, the also incorporate some of our cultural traditions, like singing, drum, smudge.
Nice.
There's a lot of outside play and cultural objects in the language nest. So we try to incorporate as much of that into the curriculum as possible.
That's awesome. And I know you guys mentioned immersion kind of daycare program. This isn't really in our lineup of questions, but how old can students be to come to the Dakota Language Nest?
3 to 5.
3
to 5 girls. Yeah.
Okay, awesome. Great. And this is just kind of a out there question too, with smudging. As a Ho-Chunk person such as I am, we like to use a lot of flat cedar. Do Dakota people use kind of different traditional medicines in their smudging?
We typically use Šišókaduta, which is sage, and it's our native Minnesota sage that we prefer to use.
Awesome. That's awesome. And it's really important to kind of teach kids like the safety of smudging and the whole spiritual practice of it and the importance around that. So thank you for doing that with our young ones. How do you see the Dakota language revitalization movement as a response to the forced assimilation of the boarding school era?
Well, I think, the boarding school era did a lot of damage to our language. And my parents didn't pass on the language to me because of that. And I think my partner, Wóokiye, is the same way. And I think a lot of people our generation didn't get to grow up speaking our language. Mm-hmm. And so now we have to reverse that, and you teach it to the little ones. But as adults, too, we have a responsibility to learn, because who's going to teach the children?
Right.
We have to become the teachers. So we have to become speakers ourselves so we can work in these daycare and other places, schools, and teach it. And then not only that too, but we have to use it at home. I think that's kind of one of the major things we try to hammer home with the parents is, hey, use this at home with your children, because you'll reinforce what they're learning at the school, at the language nest.
Yeah, good point. Yeah, it's kind of like everyone's responsibility to help carry that knowledge and that language up to our younger generations. I know we have like a minute until we go into our first break here. This last question quickly. Can you share any personal or community stories about how the boarding school era affected your own family's language and culture? I know you said that you didn't grow up learning that. Maybe we can touch on it after the break too, but...
Okay, yeah, sure. Well, my grandmother was in a boarding school in Rapid City, South Dakota, and when she finally was allowed to come back home, she got off the train, and when she spoke to her grandfather, she was speaking English, but he was only speaking Dakota, and she realized she couldn't understand him anymore. And so she made it kind of her goal to relearn her language. Unfortunately, because of the trauma she faced, she didn't teach her children, so I didn't learn. But now I'm making the effort to learn my language.
Oh, I like that. I love that you're doing that and incorporating that in your life now. It's kind of a similar story with me. You're listening to Native Roots Radio, and this is presented in partnership with Little Moments Count, and we're here with members from the Dakota Language Nest, and we'll be right back after this quick break.
When we heal from our traumas,
when we face our fears,
let go of our addictions,
when we relearn our values,
when we live our teachings,
respecting our elders,
cherishing and honoring our children,
when we honor and take care of our spirit,
there will be no room left for sexual violence.
Sponsored by the Minnesota Indian Women's Sexual Assault Coalition.
Everyone likes a litter-free ride on Metro Transit buses and trains, so pitch in. Take pride in your ride and take your trash off with you when you get off at your stop. You'll find trash bins at every Metro station. Want to help clean up transit stops in your neighborhood? Join the hundreds who volunteer to adopt a stop and keep it picked up. Learn more at metrotransit.org/adopt-a-stop. That's metrotransit.org/adopt-a-stop.
The city of Minneapolis is now on Native Roots Radio with Minneapolis Air. AIR stands for American Indian Relations. Guest host Christine McDonald talks to people about important things affecting the city's Native communities. Minneapolis Air dives into topics like public safety, public health, elections, and so much more. Tune in to Minneapolis Air on Native Roots Radio from 5 to 6 p.m. on the second Wednesday of every month, right here on AM 950.
Would you let animals pick your insurance? Do you really need to experience mayhem to get the best rates? Or how about a celebrity quarterback or fake university saving you money? There's a lot of marketing stunts when it comes to insurance, but what you really need is someone looking out for you. Call Array Insurance, and they will work hard to find you the best insurance coverage and rates. So avoid gimmicks and call Cheryl at Array, 763-504-3067, or arrayinsurance.com. Array Insurance, working hard for you.
With all the convenient big box stores that sell appliances, why do so many Minnesotans choose Warner Stellian? Check online to learn that Warner Stellian is a Minnesota family-owned business for over 60 years. Warner Stellian sells more brands than anyone else, and our passionate specialists are committed to impressing you so much that you'll refer us to everyone you know. That's our mission here at Warner Stellian. Ask around, check us out online, and when it's your time to buy appliances, join over 300,000 Minnesota homeowners and choose the specialists, Warner Stellian.
You're listening to Native Roots Radio. This is Spirit from Reservation Dogs. Get up and listen.
Welcome back to Native Roots Radio presents I'm Awake, and this is Robert Pilot.
This portion of Native Roots Radio is presented in partnership with Little Moments Count. Nearly 80% of brain growth happens in the first 1,000 days, and small moments of interaction like talking, playing, reading, and singing can help create the pathway that build a child's brain during this early stage of life. For more information, you can visit littlemomentscount.org. It's producer Haley Cherry here on Native Roots Radio, and I'm joined by a couple members of the Dakota Language Nest here in Minnesota, and we're talking a little bit, touching on the last question before we went to break there. I don't know, could you guys introduce yourselves again in a good way? I really love hearing the Dakota language.
You go first.
Dakota ia Wóokiye amakiapie. Washichu ia Katie Bendixson amakiapie damakota sisitua wakpetua hematahaye. My Dakota name is Wóokiye. My Washichu name is Katie Bendixson, and I am Dakota. I'm from Sisseton, Wahpeton, Oyate.
Dakota Chaje Maklupi Kin Šišókaduta, Emakiapido, Damakota, Betukin de, Dakodiapi Wahoch Bikin, Iwon Rakapi, on Iokbia Wahido.
Thank you, Pina Kiki, both of you, for being here with me this evening. That last question we were touching on. I don't know if we got into hearing about your family member coming back from boarding school and not being able to understand other relatives. Are there any other personal or community stories about how the boarding school era affected your own family's language and culture?
Well, one of the people I work with today, one of my older brothers, he was an adopted brother. He is from Canada, and he talks about how they would come and take the children away during the 60s scoop. And not a lot of people know about what the 60s scoop is, but I think you probably heard of it. And they would adopt the children into communities far away from their homelands. And that happened to a lot of his family members. And so they lost their language. Some of his own siblings can no longer speak, or they do speak, but they have, not as much knowledge as him because he didn't end up going to boarding school.
Right. Well, thank you for sharing that. I know so many people in our community, and maybe almost everyone that we run into kind of has similar stories like that. Mm-hmm. Moving on. What's the connection between the Dakota Language Nest, the University of Minnesota, and the Dakota homelands?
Mm-hmm. Well, the University of Minnesota is a land grant institution, so that was unceded Dakota land, and so they have a responsibility to help with the Dakota language, and working with the Child Lab Development School. The person we work with, her name is Sheila Williams-Ridge. She's been amazing. She's been a full support of what we're doing. She's been to other places to see language nests, like Hawaii for one, and then, has helped us develop this language nest. And I think Dakota Language also has a Dakota language major, the first Dakota language major in the country. I used to teach at the Dakota Language at the University of Minnesota for 14 years. I recently left to become editor of Dakota Language Dictionary, and now I think there's a strong partnership because now some of the students who are in the Dakota Language program can become student teachers at the Language Nest and put the things they learn in the classroom into practical use right away at the Language Nest.
Okay, great. Thank you. I know you mentioned a little bit on kind of like the dictionary. Can you share more about your work specifically on the Dakota Language Dictionary app and how it's helping preserve the language for future generations?
Oh, yeah. So right now I'm in the middle of an expansion of the dictionary. So we've already released it in 2023. And so we're adding example sentences, and we're also going to conjugate the verbs. And so then the students will be able to see a full conjugation of all the verbs and example sentences to see how the words are used. And also I'm recording elders. And when I do these recordings, I find words that are not in the dictionary, and then we can add those to the dictionary. So we're trying to do as much as we can to preserve as many words as possible, because we know once the elders are gone, they will take the language with them.
Yeah, really, really good points. I know I kind of rely on our Ho-Chunk language dictionary a lot. I don't know why I should. There are language classes out there, but I rely on the language app a lot because I have my phone on me all the time, and it's easy to just pull it up. And what I find really great about our language app is that they have recordings of elder female speaking the word or the language, and then an example of an elder male kind of speaking it. So you can hear both ways and how it's pronounced. And I really appreciated that. How does the Dakota Language Nest make sure that all families can participate regardless of income?
There's scholarships available there, and the price in general is it's not too bad generally.
Yeah, I think per month it's like $620 some maybe.
Yeah, okay. So it's well priced.
Okay, how do people? How many people would you say, like guesstimating, would receive a scholarship for like
everyone? Everyone gets the scholarship, so they all pay the same price.
Awesome.
Yeah, it's pretty affordable because most daycares cost over $1,000 a month.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's really important that it's inclusive to all of our relatives. So thank you for having that. What resources or tools does the Dakota Language Nest provide to help parents continue learning the language at home?
There's a weekly class specifically for the parents that they go, and also we kind of encourage the parents to go to it. It's not required, but we highly encourage the parents to attend those classes.
Mm-hmm. And they send out a weekly lesson plan, which details all the language that the kids are learning that week. Also, an organization I work for, we have free classes for the community, and we encourage other parents to sign up for those. But there's also a free class at the Minneapolis American Indian Center and other places that offer the language, and we always tell them you should sign up for these classes because you'll be learning the language alongside your children.
Oh, I like that. So you kind of offer like in-house resources as well as other community resources that can be available to them. That's really cool. I spent some time teaching in different Montessori schools, and as a lead teacher, which I know one of you are in the classroom quite a bit. This question is directed kind of towards you, and I know you do some art teaching as well. You blend your art with teaching the Dakota language. How do you use the art to make language learning more accessible and engaging, especially for children who are ages 3 to 5 years old?
Yeah, I'm an illustrator. I illustrate children's books, specifically Dakota language children's books. I have one that's been published. It's a counting book. It's a math book for early learners. It's a monolingual book, and I have others that I'm working on as well. That book can be found at www.dakota.org.
Awesome. What's the title of that one?
It's What's for Lunch. Yeah.
Amazing. I'll definitely have to check that out.
Yeah.
Can you tell us about the mural project at the Dakota Language? I know we just have a couple minutes until we wrap up, but this mural project at the Language Nest, how does that reflect your connection to language and culture?
Right. I'm working on a mural at the early childhood development lab school. It's in a common area in the hallway, and it depicts a multi-generational family speaking Dakota, and the subject is talking about a winter count, and it's talking about, and in the winter count, it's about the Dakota Language Nest and the Dakota language and the future of it.
Awesome. Well, thank you guys so much for joining us this evening on Native Roots Radio. It was a pleasure to speak with you both and get to know your work. And thank you so much, Pina Gigi, for kind of leading the way for our next generation to, just be more connected with culture and tradition and carry that forward for all 7 generations ahead. Thank you.
Yep.
You're welcome.
You're welcome.
All right, we'll be right back with Bob Blake from Red Lake. You're listening to Native Roots Radio, and we'll be right back. Stay with us.
Minnesota has the only original wolf population in the continental United States.
And 80% of Minnesotans believe the wolf should be protected.
Howling for Wolves is asking Minnesotans to respect our true wildlife manager, the wolf.
Their survival is critical to our ecosystems, our communities, and even our economy.
As highly intelligent animals with strong social bonds, Minnesota wolves deserve to be protected and admired.
Learn more at howlingforwolves.org. Let's live and let howl.
J&S Bean Factory is a native-owned, community-supported, cozy, artsy coffee shop which offers roasted on-site beans, live music, and baked goods. Relax in the beautiful outside patio. City Pages writes, voted top 10 coffee shops. Tucked into a quiet corner of St. Paul's Highland Park neighborhood, this coffee shop roasts beans on site from the best coffee growing countries in the world. Located at 1518 Randolph Avenue, St. Paul. The good stuff.
Join the community spirit at Four Sisters Farmers Market, a seasonal hub for cultural placemaking, food access, and Indigenous values. Four Sisters Farmers Market has always emphasized their commitment to the community and inclusivity, accepting SNAP and EBT benefits. Stop by and get affordable, healthy, and culturally appropriate local food. Four Sisters Farmers Market is open Thursdays 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. and is located on the American Indian Cultural Corridor off of Franklin Avenue in Minneapolis. Discover more about Four Sisters Farmers Market on their social media accounts.
Discover the emotional depth and vivid storytelling of Jay White's Arikara proper at All My Relations Arts in Minneapolis. This solo exhibition celebrates Arikara culture through the lens of an urban Indian perspective. Experience themes of empowerment, depictions of Native women, stars, and star quilts within White's vibrant acrylic paintings. Arikara proper is showing now through October 5th at All My Relations Arts in Minneapolis. Get inspired by Jay White's powerful storytelling on canvas. Details at allmyrelationsarts.org.
No one should have to choose between a paycheck and their health. Whether it's for a new baby, an unexpected illness, or an aging parent, Minnesotans deserve time to care for themselves and their families. That's why Minnesota Democrats are fighting for all working people to have paid family and medical leave. The time is now. Contact your legislator and tell them to pass paid family and medical leave for Minnesota. Learn more at paidleavemn.org. That's paidleavemn.org. Paid for by the Minnesota AFL-CIO.
This is AM 950, the progressive voice of Minnesota.
The city of Minneapolis is now on Native Roots Radio with Minneapolis AIR. AIR stands for American Indian Relations. Guest host Christine McDonald talks to people about important things affecting the city's Native communities. Minneapolis AIR dives into topics like public safety, public health, elections, and so much more. Tune in to Minneapolis AIR on Native Roots Radio from 5 to 6 p.m. on the second Wednesday of every month, right here on AM 950.
The future of car shopping is here right now at Rudy Luther Toyota with Luther Direct. It's car shopping without ever leaving your home. Go to RudyLutherToyota.com and click on the Luther Direct button. Choose any vehicle in Rudy Luther Toyota's current inventory, either new or certified pre-owned. Then find out your trade-in's value, review a payment plan you qualify for and customize it, and then set up a time for Rudy Luther to drop off your new vehicle and pick up your trade-in. It's that simple. Your new vehicle without any of the hassle. Check out Luther Direct today at RudyLutherToyota.com.
With your AM 950 weather, I'm Brett Johnson. Look for showers and storms tonight with a low around 68, Thursday afternoon thunderstorms with a high near 85, and Friday sunny with a high near 80. Kathy Griffin is live at the Pantages Theater on October 11th with her new stand-up show, My Life on the PTSD List. Buy your tickets now at Ticketmaster.com and tune into the Matt McNeil Show this week for your chances to win free tickets. And don't forget to follow The Gailey Show on Instagram for more chances to win.
Here. I am in Coleman 1 U.S. Penitentiary, and I'm listening to Native Roots Radio.
And we're back to Native Roots Radio presents I'm Awake, and this is Robert Pilot.
Hey, everybody, this is Wendy Pilot. I am standing in right now for Robert. He just had to step out for a minute, but he will be back momentarily. I'm here with our producer, Haley Cherry. And I think what we're waiting for is for Bob Blake from Red Lake. He is the owner of Solar Bear, and he brings what's going on solar in native land. And he talks a lot about climate change and what we can do to help our environment. How are you doing tonight, Haley?
I'm good. Thanks for hopping on, Wendy. Really appreciate it. And yeah, you got a good bio for Bob Blake from Red Lake there.
Yeah. So I was getting ready. I'm leaving shortly here to the airport, heading out for a visit to my family in New York. My little great nephew is in the hospital right now. Yeah, he had 106.8.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, so he's in the hospital. He is stable. He's doing okay. They're giving him fluids. They're getting his fever down, and hopefully everything will be okay. He is stable, so we're really happy about that. But, not only do I have to pack for myself, I have to pack for Wanda also. Oh, I see. Bob Blake is here. Welcome, Bob. Hey, how are you? Say, I'm really sorry. Robert had to hop off just for a sec. He will be back on. Oh, here he is. Okay. I will hand it off to Robert.
Hey, check it out, everyone. I am wearing the Minnesota Vikings horn helmet because they are playing the Houston Texans this week. And they both have the horns, right? They both have the horns. Yes. But when you play the Minnesota Vikings and you mess with the Vikings, you get the horns, everybody.
Wow. You got to get some applause. Hey, before we move on here, I just got to give a quick shout out to the producer, Haley, who I always thought that she should have her own show, and she just proved it. And I know you're under the weather, too. Sorry, I had some business I had to take care of, and
that's totally
Bob,
okay.
It's just amazing to have a producer like Haley Cherry. Bob.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks, Bob.
Bob, you're supposed to agree.
Hey, hey, listen, hay's for horses, sometimes cows. Pigs don't eat it because they don't know how. I absolutely agree. Miss Haley, you are the one. You are the one that keeps the wheels moving. And,
right.
Incidentally, nice segue, Kaylee, into wheels, because there is a story out now that is confirming that by 2028 they're talking about that we're gonna have almost a complete shift towards electric vehicles and charging stations. Now, I'm kind of thinking to myself that that's a little ambitious here, but looking at all of the investments that is happening, especially around the world, I hate to say this, everyone, but I think the engine combustion vehicle is on its way out. And this is good, everyone, because fossil fuels is obviously contributing to our greenhouse gases and contributing to climate change. This may not be the ultimate answer for our transportation, but I think it's a nice option in a sense that people are still able to, be in love with their vehicle, because we are a car culture. We love our vehicles. But at the same time, though, I think it's also an opportunity for us to lower our carbon footprint. And many, many years ago, this is not all of your fault. This is public planning part. But they built suburbs, and the city planners planned out all this, and it was all around people being in their vehicles. So at that point in time, we didn't have all the information that we have now. But now that we do have the information we have now, I think this is a great thing that's happening where, we're moving in this direction. I believe Norway is like almost to 100% conversion to electric vehicles. That's ridiculous.
Wow.
The Norwegian states, and incidentally, everybody, the weather there gets down to I want to say 20 degrees below or something. It's almost similar to the weather we have here in Minnesota. So for some folks to say that electric vehicles don't work great in the wintertime, I beg to differ and ask the Norwegians, because they seem to be doing just fine over there.
We asked the Norwegians a lot of stuff here in Minnesota.
We do.
So I thought that was a good point there. Yeah, well, Robert, it's amazing what's happening here, and things can happen really quick politically. And if we have, the progressive vote and pushing people more progressive into this, I think how they're doing it right now, the Biden administration slowly eking our fossil fuels away from us and giving support to renewable is where it's at, and it's been a process already.
Well, Robert, great story here in the Energy News Network today about the federal incentives that are spurring solar panel company for onshoring its supply chain in Minnesota, and that's Haleen Solar Factory. And of course, Native Sun and Solar Bear has a wonderful relationship with Haleen. Everyone, you're going to hear it first right now, but Solar Bear is in conversations around battery manufacturing right now. So this is going to be really, really exciting. I am super stoked about it. But there's another great article that is an Energy News Network today about clean energy law that's funding and fueling Michigan jobs and economic growth. A new study finds. So, this is really something that's creating jobs, creating opportunities. Small businesses are spurring. I just did a press conference today for the DFL, in support of the Affordable Care Act. We don't think about small businesses and the healthcare that we do provide our employees. One of my employees, actually, Robert, went part-time, and I am still giving this employee their stipend for their healthcare because that's how valuable I believe this employee is to our organization, and I will continue to make that investment into Solar Bear, and Native Sun will continue to make those investments into our employees. So, those are things I think that people don't hear about in the press, how small businesses and organizations are filling those gaps. We're the closest to the problem, so we know exactly what to do, because corporations and government are kind of big sometimes, and they don't really understand what's happening down in the cracks, but this is where we work at, and it's important to be able to give these folks and these people affordable health care.
Absolutely, and we're a few steps away. Hopefully, when we get Kamala in and we get really the trifecta across the country, is to get start talking universal health care again, because that's a game changer, and a game changer of sorts where you aren't a slave to where you have to work because you have good health care. Everyone should have it, and Haley's generation will look back at this and go, what were they thinking all those years? Why weren't they for the people?
Right. Well, Senator Aaron Murphy spoke on, a lot of states, how we're all kind of doing different things, but I think we're all kind of like borrowing from each other and taking those ideas and implementing into our own program. And there's a level that we have to request from a federal side on our healthcare, and Minnesota is moving in that direction. So she spoke very eloquently on that today at the press conference. And of course, she's a nurse, right? She's a nurse, but so she knows so much about it. But I just thought that was really interesting, and it was really cool to know that Minnesota is moving forward and trying to make sure that these let's be honest, that this stays in place, because unfortunately, Robert, in this 2025 agenda by the Trump folks, the MAGA nation, they're going to gut this, and folks will be without health care. And so that's why it's really important for everyone to get out and vote this election, to be able to support small businesses and organizations that do this great work in our communities. And this is a wonderful way to do it. And so that's what the press conference was about today, Robert. And I was just honored and I was excited to be a part of those kinds of things.
We love State Senator Aaron Murphy here she's our representative here in where we live, and I know she is on it, very intelligent, and will be one of those people that really help us figure out next steps. So we got a couple more minutes here, Bob. What else do you got here? Solar Bear with the solar news with the Viking cap.
Yeah, so the St. Paul, Minnesota Habitat for Humanity project will offer affordable housing without fossil fuels. So this is the net zero community over on the east side of St. Paul. Everyone, I am working on the Turtle Island Sustainability Campus. Bob Blake might get this building, so we'll see. We're working on it. You've heard it here first. You always hear it here first on Native Roots Radio Network. But, Robert, really trying to put together the Turtle Island Sustainability Campus, and it's going to be a big turtle, and it's going to have a turtle solar array on top, and we're going to do research, and we're going to do support for tribes, and and really job workforce development, all kinds of cool stuff there. So it'll be a research center. Yeah, so really trying to make that happen. But that was in the Energy News Network this week, and a lot of good articles in there right now talking about all the good stuff happening here in the Midwest.
Well, the things that you've been working on all these years are coming to fruition, and it's so exciting to see that. When you just gave that little bit there, I just thought about all the great ideas 10, 11, 12 years ago you had, and they're all coming around, and it's a beautiful thing. And now your Vikings hat is glowing, which is awesome.
Yeah, Robert, I can't believe it, Robert. I feel so blessed. And Robert, I especially thank you for your friendship and for you allowing my voice to be out there and be heard, because like nobody wanted to talk climate change back then. Nobody wanted to talk about what was happening. And you allowed the solar news for the solar bear to come out. And you were we'll never forget that, Robert.
Yeah, well, we've had a lot of things, and you're helping nations all across Turtle Island, not only your own. And you're the real deal, and we really appreciate your input and insight and all your stories. And I just want to say a big Peeny Geegy, Bob, thanks a lot. Is that the solar bear with the solar news?
That is the solar bear with the solar news.
Kind of sang there. That was pretty cool. Hey, Haley, what's up next? Because, as you can see me, I'm, help me.
It's Wendy. Wendy's got a new Sacred Animal segment, so stay with us.
A big Peeny Geegy there, Haley. Thank you so much. Hey, Bob, thank you. We'll be right back. This is Native Roots Radio.
Some people won't give you the real talk on drugs, but it's time we know the facts. Fentanyl is often laced into illicit drugs and used to make fake versions of prescription pills. You can't see it, taste it, or smell it. Suppliers mix fentanyl into their products because it's potent and cheap, and the dealer might not even know. Keep yourself and others safe by knowing the real deal on fentanyl. Get the facts. Go to realdealonfentanyl.com. This message is brought to you by the Ad Council.
Hi, it's Robert Pilot from Native Roots Radio. If you need new windows for your home or business, I highly recommend 952 Windows. They offer windows and doors with the longest warranties and Energy Star's #1 most efficient ratings. I can personally vouch for them, having known the owner for decades. They did a fantastic job on our second floor addition 20 years ago, installing windows, roofing, siding, and even adding a master bedroom and bathroom. 952 Windows is part of Loyal Home, founded by some of the Ethics Award-winning former Window Light employees. In my opinion, they're one of the most best-kept secrets in remodeling. As Onyx Bath and Rosebud cabinet dealers, 952 Windows guarantees top-quality products. Most of their business comes from referrals, so much so that they have been called the best-kept secret in remodeling by their competitors. For unbeatable deals and trusted service on windows, doors, roofing, siding, kitchens, bathrooms, and more, call 952 Windows or visit 952windows.com.
Anine, I'm Lieutenant Governor Peggy Flanagan, and you are listening to Native Roots Radio.
Welcome back to Native Roots Radio presents I'm Awake, and this is Robert Pilot.
Hi, I'm Jane Fonda, and you're listening to Native Roots Radio.
And we're back to Native Roots Radio presents I'm Awake, and this is Robert Pilot.
This portion of the show is supported by Howling for Wolves, protecting wolves for future generations. And here's Wendy with the new Sacred Animals.
Thank you, Robert. Thank you, Haley. Hey, everybody. My name is Hanajihihani. That means cares for them. I was given that name by my Daga, Curtis. Curtis goes by Mashke Hanajinga, which means walks on white clouds. I'm a humane policy volunteer leader for the Humane Society of the United States, and I work on animal issues at the local and state level, and it's always my pleasure to do that. A couple of things. I will be traveling today on the plane, and Wanda, our 14-year-old Shih Tzu, who is a rescue, will be joining me. Wanda, this will probably be your 6th flight, maybe 8th. But she really loves the airport. I'm going to go soon to go get her carrier out.
and she has to be on this nice, soft little carrier that she goes into that can go under the seat in front of me in the plane. But as soon as I take that carrier out, it's so funny, like she knows that we're going somewhere, so she gets really excited. We get to the airport. I have to keep her in the carrier, although I do sometimes unzip the top and she pops her little head out. But it's really cute because if you could imagine, I have a piece of luggage with 4 wheels on it that I wheel, and Wanda's carrier goes over the handle of my luggage, so she sits on top of my luggage. So I just like wheel her around the airport, and it's really cute, especially when I have the little top open and she pops her little head out. So there she is. You know, I'm wheeling her through the airport, and like people are like pointing at her and looking at her, and a lot of people will come over and say, you know, can I pet your dog? But it's kind of a pain in the neck to travel because I have to get on a different line and I have to buy her a ticket. Like I have to get her a ticket, and they have to check her out, and they say, can I see your dog? Because they need to know that I do have a dog in that carrier. And then she does come out of the carrier when we go through security. So I hold her, and her carrier goes through the x-ray machine, and then her and I walk through the security and get through to the other side. And then she's really good. I do have to give her some medication to relax her, and I bring her treats, and she has water, and she's all set. Yeah, so I'll be traveling with her later tonight. And I'm really excited about doing the trip, and she's always been pretty good. Sometimes, like when we are taking off or landing, I know like my ears pop and they bother me a little bit, so, you know, I just pinch my nose and pop my ears. But Wanda, of course, can't do that. But I do believe that the pressure does bother her, because during those times of, you know, ascending and descending, she is scratching inside the carrier. So what I'll do is I'll feed her treats during that time, so that it might help her, you know, the chewing, like if you chew gum or something, it's supposed to help you. Yeah. Anyway, so you guys, I wanted to tell you a little bit about the Humane Society of the United States. A lot of people ask me questions about, so what kind of work do you do? What kind of things do you get involved with? A lot of people will ask me, I want to adopt a small dog. Do you have any? So people think that being a humane policy volunteer leader for the Humane Society of the United States, I know it's a mouthful, but we do not adopt out any dogs and cats at all. What we do is we work on policies. So we work on laws and ordinances. We get involved in local politics to try to get laws changed. A lot of times I am at the Capitol, and I am speaking to my city council member, my House representative, my senator, about some humane laws that we want to have passed in Minnesota and in just St. Paul. Sometimes it's very local. So we'll just work on stuff that's local. Excuse me. And it's a lot of fun. If anybody is out there who wants to get involved with the Humane Society of the United States and do that type of work, it's really very rewarding when you get an ordinance passed or a law passes and it helps animals in your state. It really is. And the Humane Society of the United States has humane policy volunteer leaders throughout the whole United States. So you could get involved with wherever you live. I'm sure that there's someone there who's the director, and they guide you on what kind of issues are happening, what we need to be working on, which, if it's your city council member or your House representative or your senator who will be helping you with this. And it's really a lot of fun. You get to know who's representing you, and you get involved politically, which we all know is really important, especially in today's atmosphere, right? It's very important to be politically involved I hear a lot of people they'll just say, "Oh, I can't be bothered. I'm not into politics. I can't, get into that. It's just too much." And I think I felt like that years ago, and I think as I got older, I just realized what an impact, electing a specific city council member, to fill a seat there, and how it affects your city and just things that happen, right? So it's really important to get involved with that. But that's really what we do. The Humane Society of the United States does get involved with local animal shelters when there's a disaster, right? When there's a hurricane, a tornado, and they are called in to help. So the Humane Society of the United States just doesn't go anywhere there's a disaster. They need to be called in. So like a specific state would have a disaster, a flood. They don't have enough resources. They can't handle everything. And then they call in the Humane Society of the United States, who has equipment. They have vans. They have mobile veterinarian, with veterinarians and vet techs on in their vans where they can go. And then they work with local shelters in the area to get the dogs and cats that are already in that shelter, transport them elsewhere, somewhere safe, so that shelter is now available for the animals that are in the local area that are needed. So they do that quite often. A lot of people will be like, "Oh, I only give money to my local shelter." Yes, absolutely. Your local shelter, local people need, money to just, do the day-to-day business. Absolutely. But it is also important to give money to the Humane Society of the United States, only because they do have these big vans. They do have, they need money to do all this stuff, for traveling, for, getting the animals where they need to be. But it's really been a lot of fun. I've been doing it for quite a few years now. You're not busy all the time. You kind of could just, work on things that are important to you. Let other people work on things that you're less likely to be involved with, and you all work together, and you just create a more humane place where you live. So if that's something that you're interested in, you could email Native Roots Radio, and I could tell you how to get involved if that's what you're interested in. And it's always been a lot of fun, and I'm looking forward to working on a lot of good things this legislative session, and I'll let you know what it is. So anyway, with that, Haley, with that, Robert, have a great day and stay cool, everybody.
Hey, thanks, Wendy. You are listening to Native Roots Radio. If you have been listening to the show, you are part of our resistance. We need to resist, divest, join a group, run for office, vote, and free Leonard Peltier now. We'll be back tomorrow.